when I first started painting, I only painted from life, and I kind of called it like an inventory of the Louisiana Marsh. So I would take like individual items, put light on them and do like a portrait. And somewhere in the back of my head, I knew I wanted to just start combining things. And that's kind of, the way it happens.
Are you tired of the same old weekend routine? Looking for something new and exciting? Then get ready to rev your engines at Throttle and Swing, the ultimate entertainment destination at NOLA Motorsports Park. We're talking about an 80 configuration go-kart track that'll have you feeling like a pro racer. And that's just the beginning. There's also a brand new 18-hole mini golf course and a state-of-the-art arcade. When it's time to refuel, enjoy delicious craft pizza, a full kitchen, and a bar serving up unique cocktails and gourmet coffee. You can also kick back in the outdoor lawn area, complete with a playground, live music stage, a massive screen for watch parties, and free Wi-Fi. Perfect for work or play. Planning a party? Throttle and Swing has you covered for gatherings of any size. So what are you waiting for? Head over to NOLA Motorsports Park on the West Bank and experience the unmatched excitement of Throttle and Swing. Throttle and Swing at NOLA Motorsports Park. Get your adrenaline pumping.
Chocolate lovers rejoice. Scandalous Chocolates has arrived in New York with 4 sensational new varieties.
That's right. They aren't just chocolates. They're an experience. Premium edibles crafted with the finest ingredients, blending sweet and savory sophistication.
We're talking 20 milligrams premium chocolate lips, sleekly packaged, perfect for on-the-go indulgence. Nuts, fruits, caramel, it's an affair you can take anywhere.
At just $10, it's an affordable luxury. Fair trade, single origin, gluten-free, and vegan. Find Scandalous Chocolates at quality dispensaries like Travel Agency in Gotham.
Scandalous Chocolates. When you're in New York, awaken your senses and delight your palate.
The affair you could take anywhere. Scandalous. Are you looking for a unique New Orleans experience?
Check out New Orleans artist Frenchie at FrenchieLive.com.
Featuring original artworks, prints, and more. See it all at www.FrenchieLive.com.
Live event bookings are available. The gallery is open by appointment only.
And for private showings or parties, email info@FrenchieLive.com.
Experience the art. Experience the artist. Frenchie Gallery. www.FrenchieLive.com.
Hey, Jay, you hungry? Like really hungry?
Yeah, I'm in the mood for oysters. Hey, let's check out Trenas.
Oysters? I love oysters.
Trenas features a wide variety of local oysters. Char, grilled, baked, and on the half shell, even the famous oyster log.
Oyster log? I heard about that. You get 6 each of their signature baked oysters, plus 6 fried, all on a cypress slab?
42 oysters. We are going to love it. Trenas is located in the Hotel Intercontinental, 444 St. Charles Avenue, right on the parade route.
Sweet. When can we go?
7 days a week for lunch and dinner, plus a mimosa brunch on weekends, and happy hour daily from 3 to 6.
Happy hour? Nah, you're talking my language.
Great drinks, great wine list. An award-winning chef, Matthew Farmer, leads a team serving the best seafood in New Orleans. Trenas.
Trenas. Got it. Let's go.
Walking, stepping down the street, y'all. Talking, never know who you're gonna meet. Dancing, the groove feels so good to me. Singing, wow, yes indeed, y'all. Soulful living is all we know how to do. In the greatest place on earth, I'm talking about New Orleans, the greatest place I know. My hometown, the greatest place on earth. Yeah, yes indeed, y'all.
What's up? Welcome to show 72. Ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages, welcome back to the Only Good Vibes News Network. with Leroy, aka Whistle Monster Mitchell here, and I just want to send out a lot of positive love for Charlie, who is a listener in Costa Rica. He broke his hip, and he just had hip surgery. Pura vida, Charlie. Pura vida, my brother. We get well soon. Thanks for listening to us all the way out in Costa Rica. Also, Shecky. Shecky is the painter who used to paint me before, and he moved to France. And Shecky, we're going to be going to France. We'll be in France on May the 29th, and we'll be there for a week, and then we're going to go to Barcelona for a week. But thanks, Shecky, for actually tuning in and always listening and being a loyal listener. So we always give you a shout out. And then also Jack and Sherry, who was in Italy listening to us. We're worldwide over here, guys. So you guys, if you want to, you can do us a favor. You can like, share, and hit a click on the link to notify you, get a notification. So whenever you have these shows, you get notified. And most importantly, tune in. You know, that's what we want you to do more than share and like and subscribe. But we also like to start the vibe off with just Palo Santos and Sage. And we do that for two reasons. So we do it to give you some inspiration, and we do it to just get the vibe right for the show, right? So without any further ado, we're going to pull the cards, the Zen cards. We have the first one that I pulled is Right Action. And it says it right here, Right Action. And on the back, it goes, strive to always do what's right, not in the eyes of others, but in your own heart. Others' thoughts are transitory. One moment they will love you, the next they will not. Act on what's right in your own heart, and there will be victory. Wow. Ain't that right? Jeez, man. So this next one is prosperity. I think we all need a little prosperity. So prosperity, it says, prosperity is not in what you have attained, but rather in what you give away. For it is only when you become empty that you can be filled with something greater. Jeez and Pete's, man. That's some great stuff. So guys, look, without any further ado here, we have a great guest today. This guest is not only a friend, this guest is a family member, and he's also an artist. And he's a local artist here in New Orleans, and he's amazing. And I've known him for many, many years, and we just can't wait to get in and talk to him. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend and brother, Mr. Michael Guidry, fresh off of the Fairgrounds tracks, and had his pieces out there. So Mike, welcome, brother. Welcome to the Only Good Vibes News Network show.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. One of the things that we love to do here is get our guests involved all the time with just the randomest things and get questions from you and talk to you. So there's three things that we always have: no negativity, no politics, and no religion. It's like people could go and be not positive for the rest of the week. But for 1 hour or 45 minutes, we want you to be positive and tune into us. And we're going to make sure that we're going to give you some entertaining, positive things happening around here. Just so you know that that's because there's a lot of bad things in the world. There's a lot of great things going on, too. Yeah. And so we spotlight people here locally in Louisiana. I mean, we could talk about the world, but we can only talk about our environment, because our environment is stronger than who we are. It's stronger than us, and it's who we are. So Mike is in our environment, and he's a big-time artist, and he's been a big-time artist for a long time. Mike, welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you.
So, Mike, for those who are just learning about you, can you describe your art for us in a couple of sentences?
Oh.
Or one sentence, or whatever.
Yeah, someone asked me that question not too long ago, and I described the style of my work as cartoon realism, and I like the way that kind of came out.
Wow, yeah. Cartoon realism.
Cartoon realism.
That's
where I've landed.
You know, the funny thing about that is, I look at you said cartoon realism.
Cartoon realism.
That's exactly what, when I'm thinking, I'm going, it's super realistic. And I remember back in the days when you were first painting,
some of the things that you would do would be like just the most amazing random objects.
Oh yeah.
But it always made me feel like, man, this guy is fucking talented as fuck. The one that sticks to me the most is the one where you had like a chicken on a skate.
Oh yeah.
Can you talk to us about what that was all about? I mean, I know you got all sorts of different things, but maybe it was a project or something.
It came from somewhere actually. When I was studying at the Academy of Fine Arts, I was taking a color class. I was taking the advanced oil painting class, and we'd get homework like over the weekend sometimes. And when we come back with what we painted, it was always sort of a lesson, but they didn't tell us the lesson until after we had the experience. So Alzical Sozal was my teacher at the time, gave us the assignment of painting a fryer chicken. And when you brought it back, the whole lesson was that the chicken skin has like all the colors in the Caucasian skin tones, and so it's sort of like a non-intimidating way to approach that. But when I brought the work back, I was the only one that posed mine. So I had him like in a pose. I built the armature for it and made it into a goddess, and then that went over kind of well. I sold it at a little magazine. A store on Magazine Street, and then I made it a series.
So when I hear that, I feel like, and your art is this way as well. You go above and beyond what the assignment was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I try to make it fit like what, my brain.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about when was the first time you realized that not only that you loved the paint, but that you felt like you were good at it in a sense?
Yeah. I knew that I really liked it long before I was good at it. But growing up, I loved art, but I didn't think that you could learn how to make art. And so I knew I wanted to maybe be around it somehow, be a dealer or, just have it a recurring theme of art in my life. And then when I went to college, I took a class just for fun, and I wasn't serious about it at all. And then I learned that I really loved it, but I also learned that you could learn. And the harder you worked, the more you could do what you wanted to do. Like if you could visualize something, you could make it.
Wow. So
you could recreate it on canvas.
When was the first time you were thinking about picking up a brush and painting? Did you do that before you went to college?
No.
Wow.
It was college.
Really?
Yeah. A little bit before I took a class. I procured some paints and brushes and some canvas and tried it out, and I was like, oh, I'm terrible. Like I had no clue what I was doing. So it took a little bit of organization and the opportunity for the class to pop up. Yeah, not until much.
So when you started,
I was a young college kid.
So when you started doing it, did you immediately say, like, I know that I can do this? Or you just was like, I'm going to try this out. It may be fun. I may go to something else. But then did it just take you over? Or you just like, I know I'm good at this, and so I'm gonna pursue this more? Because like you're just starting in college. I mean, there's so many other things that is probably out there. You were already playing sports, right, and pretty big in sports, right?
So I was fortunate enough. So my very first painting class was run by Michael Crespo in the Louisiana State University art department, and he had done a book called Watercolor Every Day, about a watercolor book, lessons. And that was published a year before, and he was working on an oil painting book day by day and was using our class as the examples of the assignments. But like when I first bought paint and was like, oh, I'm not good at this at all, I didn't have a plan at all. But his class would always give you like a barrier. So our first assignment, I think we had to draw out a still life with nothing but ultramarine blue. Like we had to draw the whole thing with ultramarine blue line and then do whatever else we wanted to after that. And every class was one thing that would kind of got in your way, and you had to deal with that. And that was the way he taught painting. And then those paintings made it into a book, which felt so fun, but it also felt like I was, part of a learning community. And I learned, I realized that, was
You just absorbed all of that. You're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, I like this. Wait a minute, I like this too. Man, I really like this. And you were just going into that class just to be like,
it just hit me on like a cellular level, you know. I don't know what I liked about it, but it was just like, yes, I'm a maker, you know. And then when I framed it, you know, made me sort of pursue a little bit of sculpture.
did you
know?
make your own frame
I made
at
like
that time?
making
or-
an object, you know, making an art object made me want to make more art objects.
Wow. Did you make a frame, your custom frame then, or did you just buy a frame?
No.
Okay.
This was like, they called it gallery frame. It was just like lattice, wooden lattice, like nailed with like a rough nail to the outside, but still just that, you know, it's like, oh, this is something else now.
That's interesting. So once you started to say, okay, look.
I wanted to be a sculptor.
Oh, really?
That was my major studies. And then when I moved back to New Orleans, I wanted to go to the Academy of Fine Arts, but I got an apartment, and they were like, my sister at the time, and she's like, I got a space for you to work, but not. She's like, you'd have to paint, not, you know, it's not a sculpting studio. So anyway, I got the you know, the front big room to.
So your sister
paint.
kind of told you, like, kind of
She
kind of guided you down that road by like kind of like necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, it's like this
Right?
space.
Like, you're like,
you got
look,
this space.
You're not going to be
want
chopping
it.
metal, or not chopping metal, but
Right.
chopping. What's that called? The stone.
Yeah, marble.
Marble. Yeah, you're not going to be tracking marble and dust all over here, but we can roll with painting.
Yeah, that got me concentrating on painting.
So when did you
fell
know
off
that you
it
felt
again.
like it was a career?
I really don't know. I started showing with the Jazz Fest. Sort of, it didn't seem like anything. Even after a few years, you know, it didn't seem like anything that
You
would
didn't
work
feel
on
like,
its own.
I mean, I guess
But eventually,
you're so humble at that time. You're not like, I'm great at this. I'm good at this. I mean, I think you're one of the best artists that I know personally. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause I mean, like your structure, your attention to detail, and your consistency, and the way that you paint is just, it's mind blowing to me. And then you use oils. I mean, oils, they take forever to dry. There's so many things going on with oils rather than acrylics, and you can just like, and that's a wrap. But it's just like, gotta wait. It's teach you patience, teach you different skills.
yeah.
When did you sell your first painting?
I think it was when I was at the Academy, and I was selling like those chicken paintings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was selling stuff there and building up credit and getting antique Indonesian furniture.
Oh yeah.
Remember those days?
Or in Puerto
From
Rico.
Bali? Yeah. It was in Puerto Rico and became, I did that deal with them.
Wow.
But you know, there's so much more to navigate. Like I feel like the style of my painting and everything's kind of going where I thought it would go, but there's so much more to navigate as far as like the business goes, you know, and you know, what kind of artists are you going to be in the community, and there's a lot more happening there than, you know, the performance part just kind of comes with just more, you know, more and more practice and more discipline and dedication.
What do you want people to feel when they see your art?
I think like a little kind of like a chuckle, you know what I mean? So when you know, a lot of times I feel best when I feel like I've shared a joke with somebody, you know, and also like a shared experience, and they'll see what I've taken from the same kind of thing out in nature or whatever.
Kind of how I looked at the chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, like all these many years, the skate and the chicken still resonating with me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that
Oh yeah,
resonate.
yeah.
But I
Right.
mean, that's the beauty of art, though, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody looks at it a different way and gets different messages.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I started this series many years ago, but my Napoleon paintings, and it was just sort of like this. So when I joined Jazz Fest, they sent me a contract saying you're our Louisiana nature painter, and at the time, like I wasn't. You know, I just happened to enter with pieces that I did of flora and fauna.
And they just labeled it by whatever
Yeah,
the
because it's
painting
what
was.
you know, and then anyway, like at the time I was more of like a student artist, kind of doing mythology. I mean, you've seen all those old things. And, but anyway, that has guided my career for sure.
Dude, I mean, to watch you grow and to see you go is this amazing thing to me. But I spoke to you a little bit about it before, but do you find that most of the time when you paint something, you paint it, and then as you grow, say 5-6 years later, can you still paint that way? Or do you keep just advancing and advancing until the point where you're like, wow, I don't even know if I could really pull that style off again. Can you go back easily enough?
I think I could, but I'd have to like recreate the conditions, Like at the moment, I'm getting towards the end of this aluminum thing I'm doing, but I've been painting on aluminum a lot, which is a completely different look and experience on the easel than painting on the canvas. And so, I used to use really, really, really rough canvas. I painted a lot on burlap. And so those all have sort of a special look to them,
So you're talking about from
a different palette.
From the medium part, like you're going from burlap to canvas to wood to metal to whatever. Like that's a big part of it too, rather than just actually the subject.
Yeah, it keeps my mind, entertained.
Wow.
And they're all completely different. And then the first time I'll use like aluminum, I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I'm over it, and then I'll get back to canvas, and I'm like, wow, I missed this.
That's great.
Because it's a completely different way of working.
So you're painting on aluminum. You're painting on aluminum now. You're painting on wood. You painted on canvas, burlap. Any odd thing that you ever thought like, I really want to paint on this, even though it may not work?
No.
So you just look at everything. You're like, so like glass or something.
Yeah,
like,
no, nothing cool. Like paper. I mean, that's not exciting, but
no, just a different medium. I'm just trying to think about all the different mediums.
I love the look of art on paper. A print or ink, like Japanese ink.
Do you use acrylics a lot, or you mostly love to do?
A tiny bit. I use mostly 100% oil.
Wow. Yeah. You find oil that it just lends itself to the styles and techniques you use more than acrylics?
It's just what I learned with and what I have, But I think I could work with acrylics, but it'd probably take me a few years before I got to where I could. I mean, so I had this piece that I was trying to hurry along last March, and I have this huge acrylic paint collection. So I pull it all out, try to match up with what I need. I laid my palette out with that, and I did the first layer with acrylic, and it came out great, like really, really rough. I liked the way it looked because I did it like, 'cause I knew I was going to be painting on top of it, so I roughed it in, and it was very energetic and fun. But it was all acrylic, and then I put on top of that, the oil. That's cool.
To me, it seems like some artists, they tend to stay in their lane, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like they'll do these same things a lot, but I'm getting a feeling from you that you love to challenge yourself as art and get outside of your comfort zone. How do you stay?
I think it's important.
Yeah, I believe that too, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you start getting comfortable. Well, you know what they say about being comfortable. When you're comfortable, you're not really growing. So,
yeah, right.
So when you're uncomfortable, you're growing. So you just basically just say, okay, I'm just gonna go after this metal.
Yeah. And I don't have that much time to like dilly dally. I got to be productive, and like things are always due and coming right up. And so a lot of times I'll have to start something that's for way in the future just in case it doesn't work out. Because the immediate work has got to be.
So everything's almost like a learning experience for you, some situations, and then you just kind of keep mastering it. Like you're a master over and over and over of stuff.
Yeah. I went down this rabbit hole of doing like this ancient art form, encaustic, which is pigmented beeswax. And the fun part was like building out the studio. I had to have all this ventilation and all these hot plates. And then I had to make my own colors because at the time there wasn't a big variety of encaustic colors. Now there are a ton of them. Like every big company has a line of them. But I had to make all my own colors with like beeswax, Damar resin as like a temperate, and then
that's old
and then
school.
I would squeeze out all my oil paints and drain out the oil and then use that as a pigment. And that was fun. But I got way too much into all the back of the house stuff, you know.
Dude, I think that
I did that for a few years.
I think that you just have like a raw, I almost feel like you like, I'm talking about being biased like a kid, that, you know, you're a kid, you're always going to say good things on it. But I just think your approach to art is quite different from a lot of other artists. Some artists, they get some things and they realize they do it good at it and they just hammer that. But you're like constantly, in my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you're always seeking and looking for the next, so not so much challenge, but you always want to push yourself, I feel like, and go outside your barriers. I mean, that's pretty brave. Yeah. You know, especially when you gotta like feed yourself and do things with it when you're a true artist in the full extent of it, rather than just, hey, I'm gonna paint this weekend for relaxation and I'm gonna try this new thing. But when everything is on the line and you going down there, that's a skill that you had to build. Were you always like that? Did you always want to keep pushing it? Or once you got something, you kind of was like, oh, I'm good at this. I think I should. Well,
you know, I've been through different mindsets, and at some point, like I had this elitist idea that everything had to be so new, you know? And then when I got settled in with Jazz Fest and realized it was something that, realizing that painting one thing sort of can boost your career, can become a little more recognizable. And I came up with the idea to do a version of the paint everything, the same thing, but I incrementally move things forward and start incorporating different concepts and ideas and characters, you know, into all these different themes that I've been doing.
Wow.
But yeah, and every once in a while I'm like, this is a new idea. Like I'll sit there drawing for a little while and I have this breakthrough idea. And then I'm like, this is going to be like 7 years worth of material, you know? And I have this, like when I was a kid, I was really into the Egyptian art and everything was always sort of like facing one way and in profile. And so I'll come up with this, like, I'll take the protein in the painting, you know, the birds or whatever, and I'll come up with a design for it. And so when it pops up in my work again, like that's the one design that I've already decided on and already worked out. And so I'll usually put the protein in the same position and then, you know, back it up with like all the supporting characters.
Wow.
That's like, I call it my themes and variations, you know?
Dude, that reeks of your training, I think, because like things that you're doing, like you're taking a whole bunch of steps to really like cook it down to like the best it can be for some point in time, if I'm hearing it correctly.
Yeah.
And when you go and do a medium or do a painting, you're like, I know what go in this just perfectly.
Yeah.
You'll drop that in. And that's how you get the bees with the alligators and the birds and all these weird scenes, because you already have those things kind of in your mind formatted. And then you just kind of bring these two worlds together.
Yeah, you know, you're never going to paint the perfect painting. But so every time I do something, there's usually something I would change, you know? And so I bring that with me for the next painting. Like, oh yeah. But so I've always been attracted by art that's been inspired by other like famous art in particular, you know, but art inspired by other art. And in this case, I use my last series as my inspiration to sort of almost like a ridiculous spin-off of what I did last year or whatever, you know?
Bro, that sounds so much fun. It makes me want to be a painter. It makes me want to be an artist again. Are you more of a locked-in creative artist or more of a go with the flow?
Probably a little of both.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, I got to lock in, you know, because I get distracted really easily. And so I really need to sort of be locked in for the inception of a piece. And I'll think about something and then I'll have to create the painting for it, whether it's out of a piece of aluminum or I have to sort of like, that's part of the execution, you know? And it's part of like the dance with the painting before you start it. Like, I usually build my own canvases, whether it's out of aluminum or cotton. And then I get locked in and then it becomes like a call and response thing. So, you know, I'll get the composition in and get it kind of laid out. And when I come back, that's why it's so much more fun than like a commission. Where you come in and it's like, oh, you have to get the right color blue or whatever. I'll come in the next day and respond to what I've done, and that way the work just flows. So there's a little bit of both. But and once I've nailed something down, like the locked in portion, as we're calling it, I can just walk in there all tired at 4 a.m. and sort of have like an idea based off of that.
Yeah, you're locked in on the gators and the birds.
Yeah.
And the scenery and like the swamp. I mean, I've never seen or I never actually talked to someone who, and I've known you for a long time, but this is really impressive to see like you just go off and be so carefree and not prepared and planned. And for me, it just seems so terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you embrace that. Like, you're like, well, I'm going to have to go and I change this. And then, I mean, like, I almost think that you would have definitely been painting like from inception with the way that you go rather than just say, oh, yeah, I went and tried something out in college. And, oh, yeah, I'm fucking great at it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to keep, instead of just like being stuck in that comfort zone, you're like, I'm going to go outside of my comfort zone. I'm not going to say it's not your comfort zone. I'm just saying like you're going outside the box is your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a way to be when you come into art because you're going to get something new and get something different. You're going to get something clever. It ain't going to be the same, nothing against Blue Dog or anything, but it's not the same animal or the same niche thing over and over and over. You're constantly pushing that envelope. And I think that's why people love your art so much.
It's exciting. It's exciting for me because when I was a kid, I loved art and I was convinced that I couldn't make it. So, like my brother was an artist. Like people say there aren't natural talent. Like he was born being able to draw really, really cool. And he would get like a gig with the Yellow Pages. He was like, he'd make art for their ads. He got assignments from the guy down the street. Yeah. So his art was like in places, like when we were kids. And I couldn't draw worth anything. So I was like, okay, I'm not an artist. I'm like, I'm the athlete, that sort of like shaped my mind. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not the artist, I'm the athlete. So anyway, it took me a while. I really did not know that, you could learn a discipline like that, an artistic discipline.
I'm sitting on this other side of the table thinking
so it's still exciting. So it's still
in general.
I still feel like it's something that I get to do that I didn't think was possible.
That is just to me that's brilliant because it's like a symphony, right? It's like this beautiful thing that's culminated, and I feel like it constantly gets better, and it's always different, but it's very complex.
Yeah,
like it's real, like to go inside yourself and pull those triggers and those things that you're uncomfortable with almost all the time. It has to help you in your real life too. You know what I mean? Because you're like, because our life is our art, is our masterpiece, right? And like you say, well, maybe I didn't want to go and do this, but I'm going to do this anyway. And in a painting, and then you're like, well, maybe I'm going to do the same thing I did in the painting. I'm going to go a different direction with this in life. And dude, I mean, you're a pretty talented guy, just besides art too. But I think that motivation of wanting to do it different, wanting to learn, wanting to do it, that is what keeps you on the top, I think, because what you're going to be doing all the time is constantly getting better at things that you didn't even know that you were going to be doing or that you even thought that you were great at. But you always are having the ability to work to get to that place, like, because you probably say, dude, if I'm killing it on canvas or if I'm killing, like for me personally, a lot of your work I love on burlap. I just love the feeling of the texture, how you have it. Just, you could see that it's something.
It's very special.
Right.
And it is so much work, and it, like, I kind of, like, at one point I stopped building those canvases during the summer because it was just too grueling. Wow. And I basically stopped doing them. I'm working on one right now, but it's like bringing those days back. It's like,
wow.
And I also, like, it's a reminder that I do everything the hard way, See that,
and I mean,
everything.
You said that, but I guess I was saying that in so many ways, like, because back to comfort zone. Comfort zone is easy.
Yeah.
You know, outside your comfort zone is hard for some people. But you don't. Your sentence doesn't sound like that. Your sentence sounds like working outside the box is where you live, and working outside of your comfort zone is where you feel comfortable. Yeah. And that is not a very common sentence for people in any medium or anything.
Well, you know, with the sort of the rules here where everything has to be positive, that's like one of the best positive ways to put it.
It is, yeah, you know, it is. But that's how you, I think, evolved, and your talent keeps getting sharper and sharper.
Yeah,
and it keeps your the people that you're painting for and your audience guessing. Like, we don't know what you're going to get, but we know that it's going to be quality. Yeah, that's a good trademark to have in art. Yeah, you know, every person that I show your stuff to, they're just like, dude, where's this guy? What did he do? You know, and to think that a lot of times that you just pushing your envelope, like it's never like, so I don't think you ever feel like you're enough at it.
Well, you know, I think one of the things that distinguishes artists is their taste. And that's one thing I try to do with every single piece that leaves my studio, is that I don't finish with it until I'm happy with it, that I like it. And if there's something that seems finished, but it's still not appealing to me, you know, I just kind of, it stays with me until I'm happy with it. And I think that is when you put your mark on something.
Can you jump back into those styles? Like, say, like, I guess you can, because you're doing metal now or aluminum now, and then if you have to go back and do burlap, you can. If you have to go back to a canvas, or, you know, I think that when you utilize that medium and that muscle in your mind and membrane, that you going back and forth is it just sharpens you up more and more, I think, huh? Like you practice and practice and practice. Yeah,
and I feel like having all those different ways of building those substrates is like having that in your pocket, you know, when you come up with the idea, you're like, oh, this would be perfect, you know. I'll do this treatment to it, which really, you know, separates it from different art, is that you've done something.
Your art looks really different opposed to a lot of other people's art. Like some people's art, and art, the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But to me, your work looks very, very, very finished and worked. Yeah. To like the fullest degree. You know what I mean? Like you've already exercised every angle to get where you've gotten. And I feel like when you buy a painting from you, it's like down to the frame, down to like the
And that's everything. Like the opposite of my intention. Like when I first, I pictured myself on a mountain, you know, just slashing away at a canvas until it was done. And then there's something in me that just sort of, you know.
Perfectionist in a sense.
Yeah, almost like overworked a little bit. But I wish I could back off, but then I'm always like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, this would be great.
It's just
and then every once in a while I'll come inside out of my studio and tell my wife, is like, I can't do anything wrong today.
It's like wide open. I'm all over it, just crushing.
Right. Yeah, I'm crushing it today, man.
Dude,
I can't stop doing this because every time I touch it gets better.
Wow. So how do you know when to stop?
I don't know. That's an old adage, you know.
All
you
right.
need like two people to do it and one to tell you when to stop.
What usually sparks you for an idea?
Sort of like an experience in nature, you know, an experience at an art show, you know, other art, and like if something grabs my attention for a little while, especially in nature, you know, especially just something happened in the sky or at a fishing camp, and I'll just sort of have a moment, you know, and it's kind of.
You're like, I'm going to paint that.
It registers later, yeah. It registers later. It's sort of like a.
How'd you start doing a redfish? Like to tell you, just like one day you were like, man, this is a beautiful animal.
Well, you know, I think a friend of mine, I used to have a pickup truck with a Tommy lift. Mm-hmm. And so a friend of mine's dad lived out there in Plaquemines, and he had like a citrus farm. And his dad wanted this piano that I had. So he bought it for like $200. It was like a player piano that he was going to fix. So anyway, we loaded up a little skiff and loaded up on the Tommy lift the piano, and I dropped it off at his house. And then we went and fished in West Point Lahash. We like launched this little bitty skiff, like barely got the motor to work. And he took me to these shallow ponds and these shallow, like freshwater looking things. But anyway, the water had just gone out and the redfish came in and they were feeding and they were tailing. And we had spoons and we were casting, casting
so
right in front of the
much
fish
fun, bro.
and catching. I mean, it was a crazy experience that I have not been able to duplicate. And I've gone out there. Because of that, I bought a kayak, I bought a canoe,
It really hit you.
Oh yeah, I was like,
You're like,
yeah.
dude.
So anyway, that was like the tailing redfish is like even when I like draw that composition and start redoing it, I get like butterflies, like I'm out there.
Wow.
It's just like one of those memories that are just.
Yeah, I mean,
It was incredible.
It shows in your painting, man, that redfish meant a lot because I mean, for me, redfish is like a lot of people don't know this, but you can't buy wild caught redfish in a red. It's illegal. But when you do catch a redfish, it's a big deal.
It's special,
and it is, and especially if you catch it on a spoon.
Yeah,
because that's just like a sight fishing.
That's like hunting.
Right? Like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
And just hang on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making me want to go fishing.
Yeah, I'm getting worked up.
Yeah, me too. Let's call
two
Steve.
weeks, huh?
Hey, Steve. Yeah, right. We going out there. Did you guys defend? We're talking about this fishing trail, this fishing
Tournament?
what do you call
tournament?
Calcutta.
Yeah,
The Calcutta. It's called
we're gonna.
the Allure. Yeah. So
We were talking about you the
guys
other day.
won one year,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah, we won too. We got your name on the trophy.
Yeah,
there.
you weren't happy about that at all.
I was happy. I just felt like we didn't put our best foot forward. But of course, I want to see. Can't win every time.
We're probably going to do the same thing. Like our plan doesn't, unless we get lucky. We're probably not going to catch any trout. We're going to try to do it again with the flounder and the redfish.
Oh, really?
And then
I heard they're going to have. You ready for this? And the sheephead is going to be
what?
Sheephead is going to be one of the categories.
I know where to find some sheephead.
All right, I'm gonna have to.
We're gonna go out to our fishing camp and we had some repairs to do, and then we're gonna fish the tournament from our camp, and then
Drive back.
it's all kosher. You know, we talk to Mike,
wherever you want to.
and then drive back. Like take the boat out of the water and bring it up.
Oh,
it's
wow.
only like 15 minutes.
Oh, it is?
To Grand Isle, yeah. Holland Butt. Yeah.
Yeah, I think did some people make it on a boat the whole way there?
Yeah,
and back?
we did it last time. The year we won, that's what we did.
All right.
So anyway, I know people are going to go out.
So how has your work evolved since you first started?
It's probably more refined.
Or if I
know?
mean, like you've just sharpening the edges of some of the things that you've been doing consistently.
Yeah, when I first started painting, I only painted from life, and I kind of called it like an inventory of the Louisiana Marsh. So I would take like individual items, put light on them and do like a portrait. And somewhere in the back of my head, I knew I wanted to just start combining things, and that's kind of, the way it happened. So
I saw a painting of yours, and it had to be an earlier one. And I think you got in the fish. I think when you cleaned it, it had some different things in it, and you took the things out.
Oh yeah,
and you laid out all the things that was inside the fish with the fish. That's the kind of things that you used to say, like when you're saying you used to just.
Well, that was like an anatomy lesson. I did that for a class. Yeah, I went and caught a stingray, and unfortunately, I felt really bad about it. But it had babies that we didn't find out about till later. But we got to do like a little study of them, in a class. We dissected the fish and went over all the different comparative anatomy. It was cool. And then also a painting. So.
Dude, so that reminds me, that makes me want to ask you a question. So would you rather the structure of an assignment, or would you just rather just to go on your own and just create something out of the blue?
I do need structure. And like that very first painting class taught me that I have to have some kind of boundaries, But I'll create them for myself. I'll decide on a show. Like I have a show coming up. My next actual planned show is next year. But I know the theme, and I'm like basing it on a theme, and so having some kind of boundaries has really helped me planning for the show.
Yeah. So that's That's theoretically what school is supposed to teach you, right?
Yeah. Like if you were like, hey, you can paint anything, I'd be there for a long time.
Oh, wow. Because your mind would just constantly keep on working and reworking.
In theory, the way that I work, I like to have a plan, a little bit of a plan, and a lot of times I'll come across like, oh, so-and-so's banana trees are flowering. You know what I mean? I'll go like, that'll put me in the mood to do a portrait of a banana stalk with and then,
oysters.
Then while I'm painting that, I might have a spin-off idea.
Wow. So you're just constantly on autopilot a little bit, but you're kind of driving too because you're like
just kind of daydreaming, staying open for something. But
and then something might come and hijack it, and the next thing you're like, wait, like a redfish hitting a spoon. You're like, I'm just cruising along. Wait, what is this over here? You know what I mean? And you're like, I'm gonna paint that.
Oh yeah. Hijack your attention. I got you.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah. But it'll take a minute. But I grew up like, my parents' house. They met in the quarter and like kind of like the idea of an overflowing courtyard. But they like had these overflowing flower beds and a bunch of tropical plants, and have always just been like inundated and surrounded by like tropical lush paradise. And I'm finding that creeping back, not creeping back, like incorporating just about every painting that I have. It's inspired by like a tropical fauna, flora rather.
Dude, that is a crazy thing because I feel like when you create, that's exactly it. You create. But what you're saying is you like to have structure when you're creating, and then you're still not necessarily following the exact plan.
Yeah.
It's almost like not training wheels, but kind of guardrails.
Yeah.
So like you may want to go further down that road, but since you have that structure, you kind of stay in this zone, right? And you're like right around here, rather than saying, oh, I know I can add this to it. But if you're like got your structure, you kind of stick to the structure rather than, I mean, you let some other things come in too, but I think that's what art is all about too, is about pushing boundaries. And it's about getting yourself in a situation where you may not know where you're going, but you feel like it's the right direction and you're going down that road. And all of a sudden you like, when I started off, I never thought I'd end up here. Yeah. Is it always like that with you in a sense? Or you just like, you have a vision at the end?
It's different. I have breakthroughs and I'll start incorporating something. But if I work on something new, like right now, when I was in college, I did a lot of like large still life paintings. And I'm trying to bring that back. And I have a little bit. But the ideas that I have, so I started studying like this cubism and a little bit more abstraction. So I do a series of abstract work, which is obviously abstracted nature, like patterns. But I want to do like realism that's a little bit more like, what did I just say?
Your abstract stuff that you do, that's like, for me.
The cubist, a little bit, that's a little bit more cubist. So anyway, I'll have an idea and I'll start it. And it's like a disaster. And it kind of has to be something I could sell, right? Because it's what I'm doing, for my living. Right. And I'm painting for a show. Anyway, like I'll be in denial and I think it's really cool, but I can't really get away with it. And then Macallion and my wife would come in and she'd be like, do you understand what happened here? I'm like, yeah, I did it on purpose. And I want to recreate that mistake over and over and over again. She's like, I don't know. But anyway, after a little while, it's like, oh, it's not working. So I ended up painting over that, and then I'm like really behind, and I'm painting over stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's
but it's dance. Not, you can't do that every day. I got to be productive. Right. Unfortunately, I have a 9-year-old, right? I got a family, I got a house.
That's unfortunate. But
there's a balance, right?
Right. That's what I was about to say. That how do you find that balance is kind of what you've been preparing for, as far as in the same thing like I was saying earlier, how your life could go right into the same painting. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because things are abstract, because you got to work, you got to pay bills, you got to do this. Right. But yet and still, you still have to create and you still want to make it like a certain way. But it doesn't always work that way. Same way with life. At
some point, I decided that I'm really into like Audubon's birds, right? And the history of him and sort of the way that mostly the way he worked his studio and the collection process of the specimen. And there was this, one of my favorite images he has is of the flamingo. And I was like, I got to do a version of this, like a modernized version of this flamingo, but based off of that drawing, like using the painting as like a direct reference, but just kind of loose. But anyway, it took me like 7 years, and finally, like I had the sheet of aluminum. I was like, oh, this looks perfect for that. So I like broke it out, started a series of painting flamingos last year. Last year was my first one, but that's going to be something I'm going to want to keep doing and playing with. That was a breakout thing, but it took me like 7. Literally, I was like, finally, that idea.
I always talk about how whenever you're doing something, or like you have an epiphany, or this idea, or this thing comes to you in one way, but a lot of times, if you don't do it, you ever see somebody had something that they did, and you're like, they stole my idea. Not that they stole your idea, but that thing was just ready to come out at that time. But then there's also things like this show. Like I had this idea and conceptualized idea for over like 15 years, but it just never did nothing with it. But then I saw that there's some quote or something where it said like life rewards actions, not like necessarily education, know-how and everything, but just to do the action. Yeah. Right. And it stayed inside of me for so long. So it was like time to do that action. And the same thing with the flamingos. It took 7 years for you to do that action. But it was still, it was ready to come out at that time, is the point of the story. And sometimes you got things in there. You have anything right now that's inside of you that you're saying, man, maybe, but I'm just not ready to do it yet, but I'm probably going to do it? Like kind of like the pen.
I have some ideas of doing some different portraits. I've been painting just Napoleon. I've been painting just the image of Napoleon for about 9 or 10 years. Good. Yeah, it's fun. That was my idea, was just to do that, And I'm going to do some spin-off work from that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Because I used to do 1 a year, and I did like 4 in the last like 4 months, or actually 8 in the last 4 months. I did 4 for one little show, and for one big show. 4 little Napoleons for a big show. But
little Napoleon.
But it was so hard. It was right.
That's funny.
It was so hard to address it because I only did them once a year. So I was like, oh, okay. I want to push this art forward so that it's always under my thumb, because I had to like study how I use the portrait palette, and I set up this whole different huge portrait palette with all my paint pre-mixed, and so I did 4 portraits in a row because I had to plan it all out. Yeah. But I've been planning my palette out for like the next month. If I'm going to do like a block of paintings, like what's going to be the best palette for this series that I'm doing. So I've never done that before. Wow. I've always used the same palette, but I have. Dude, it's like a landscape and portrait palette, basically.
Wow. Yeah. How many years have you been painting, Mike?
Oh God, I don't know. 40, 50, 40, 35.
How does it feel?
Since I was in college, right?
Yeah.
It's like 35.
Yeah, 35 years. Wow. And I feel that you're still evolving a lot. And is that the key to, I think that may be the key to really being a good artist, is that you keep evolving, right? Rather than, some people just make tons of money off of one thing. Yeah. Sometimes, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that, because again, art is an eye of the beholder.
You learn what you got. You learn about what you got, and you learn about where you could take it a little bit more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you kind of stop trying to do this, and you start capitalizing on doing this. And it shows. I used to reach and reach and reach, which was good when I was learning. And then I can't keep doing it. You know what I mean? I got to get back in the pocket and sort of do what I know I can do beautifully. But every once in a while, and I've stopped doing it about 5 years ago, but I used to go back to the academy and study figure drawing. And it's such a discipline to get everything where it's supposed to be. And I would sit there like, I want to run at it. I want to just jump down those stairs. I want to take a break and not come back, And then you come back and they help you, and you correct it, and you're like, ah. But yeah, it's a journey.
I was about to say, that's exactly the word. You took the words on wrong, because it's growth.
Yeah.
It's really growth.
But I'm also like, why can't I just have a natural response to what I'm seeing? That's what you do on your own. But I'm there to learn. When I take those classes, I'm there to learn what they know and get everything right. and then that way I can break the rules. But I couldn't work like that all the time, and that's what it feels like to kind of push it a little too far, you know?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So like you could tell when you're like, I feel like I went a little bit too far, but let me just dial
If
back.
I'm going to do like a Napoleon painting, I'm going to be like everything. This time it's going to look like him, which is hard for me to do. It would be like the whole time I'd be like, nope. You know, when I do portraits, I have like this apprehension, and I think back to I had this girlfriend. I did her portrait, and she didn't like it, and I was like, I suck
go
at
down
this.
that road again.
I'm so terrible about that. Every once in a while, I keep something like, why'd she have to say that?
Because all of a sudden you let that in your subconscious thought process.
It's like,
and you're
okay, I keep telling myself, okay, you're not a good portrait painter, so you need to keep focusing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
you're not good at this, so make sure that you get this in the right spot because you're not going to do it naturally. I've always like corrected it, but as long as it looks cool. Like when I first started painting people, and if it looked like a person, you know, if it looked like a face, I was happy. You know what I mean?
Faces
I still,
hard.
I still feel like that.
So you
Yeah,
think,
they're hard.
what you think is harder, faces or hands?
I think they're about the same.
Are they?
But a face, like once you learn like to get the attitude and the angle and the major shape, you know, you can start getting a likeness in. But hands are kind of the same way. Hands are just a shape.
So you say you go back and take some classes sometimes to learn to good, like refine some things, but it seems like to me you do a lot of self-teaching to yourself, like from trial and error and going in and spending in time to say, okay, I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
A lot of that more than just like I'm gonna stick to what I know and just keep on doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, you love embracing new things. Is what you're painting, and it's what I'm feeling.
Yeah. I want to come a little full circle and start painting from life a little bit more.
And you also are. It seems like to me, you're a well-rounded painter, right? Like you've done the acrylics, you've done the wood, you've done the burlap, you've done this, and you're still pushing and constantly trying to learn rather than just say, I'm feel comfortable with this, I'm stay in my zone. So when do you feel like your shows, I guess, I was gonna say, when do you feel like you're kind of under the gun to do a certain thing? Or do you just always just freely paint whatever you want to? Because like if you're going to a show, because I like this show, like I think you and I talked about this before, like we don't really know what people are going to like. Like I don't know. But I do know that we're going to give them the best thing that we can, our gift to the universe, to God, to the higher powers. Is that like you when you're going to do a show that you're like, are you thinking it sometimes like, I know people did like this last time, I did a pretty good job with it, so let me do that again? Or are you just like, you know, I know that people like this, maybe it's a little too trendy for me, I don't want to like coin myself in like put myself in a position where I'm going to be staying, I'm going to go outside the box on this. Is it a balance?
I think,
or you just like you like one more than the other?
I think that I would, I think that I take a concept or an idea or a style that I know has resonated with my audience or the audience I'm going to show it to, and then push that forward.
That's what you put the pushing at, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'll sort of like, you know, no one wants to see the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Napoleon has this association with honeybees. And Napoleon had me thinking about bees and all these funny different things. And then I get into the, you know, what bees mean to the world. And then so I went on this little bee tangent. And then I started incorporating different birds that eat the bees. You know what I mean? To kind of play this little, create a little tension. You know what I mean? But just like silly stuff like that, I'll sort of have these ideas based on like, oh, this series, so and then have those silly ideas come to fruition. You know?
It's very structured. But yet the concept is very loose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you might find fireflies and bees around an alligator or something. You know what I mean? Like it's super structured because it's so good, in my opinion. This is what my perspective is. But you still have a lot of play in your art, but you're still like super structural and strategic. I think like the everything is just precise and exact, but then the composition may not really make a lot of sense to you. It's just fun. Like something that you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
he added those things on there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, my favorite way to work is to think of what I'm doing as a body of work in itself, instead of just kind of painting this and painting that, like, oh, this is a good idea. So when I'm working for a show, I'm thinking of these paintings are going to have a relationship with each other, and there's like interplay between different things if you take the time to sort of,
to
sort of discover. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, so it's constantly, I guess you're like almost a mad scientist. Like you're sitting there sometimes.
Like a mad scientist.
Yeah, you're sitting there, you're sitting there, you're like, and you like, inspiration can come from any place, but then all of a sudden, you're adding your own touches into it as well. You know what I mean? And I think that's the key of art, right? Like taking what your surroundings are and filtering it through you and making art.
Yeah.
Like they said, life is not meant to be carried. It's not supposed to be so heavy, like where you're just toting these things in life, whether it's good things or bad things. It's like a wave. It's supposed to go through you and then go back out and go through you. So you can't carry a wave. I feel like that's the same way with your art. Like I feel like your art is you're not carrying one thing. You're just like letting a bunch of things flow through you from different things, regardless of whatever it is. Like you're not locked down on one thing besides, I think, the tedious structural stuff. I mean, I say tedious because it looks almost like, it was a machine made it, because like the lines and stuff, everything is just so crisp. You know what I mean?
I don't know why that's so important for me, but
that's good. Yeah. I mean, I think I almost think it's
funny. I almost think it's funny. I sort of try to go pull out details that you wouldn't normally see, and like this is exactly what that would look like. If I could do one little thing to bring it alive and to have it look like it's got some weight.
Yep.
It's my favorite thing to do is my favorite thing to do is work with form and to make something like have a presence. A lot of time it's fiddling with the little details and
So you correcting and recorrecting and going back and forth, and then finally you're just like, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How does it feel to be involved with Jazz Fest? How long have you been with Jazz Fest? Like 30, 40 years?
No. This.
No, not 30.
I think this was my 17th year.
Oh, 17 years.
Yeah. I think.
So how does it feel being there?
I think my first one was 18 years ago. Then we didn't do the COVID.
Right.
Got to take COVID away.
So
it's awesome. It's like a dream come true. From when I was a kid growing up, it's like the biggest event, and like I remember walking around looking at all the art. It's
you got a worldwide audience.
Yeah, got some
like
a lot of
coming
eyes
from international, just everywhere.
Yeah.
Like getting a chance to glance at your art and see it. I mean,
and I'm like the solitary studio artist. Like literally, rarely leave the house, and I must do like 98% of my interacting with people. My socializing out there at Jazz Fest every year.
Wow, because I'm talking about I know you're a fun guy and outgoing guy, but I know that you're also a very structural person, where you like your stuff is very like legit, like kind of like.
I can't
not tight, but just like it's very structured.
Yeah.
That's the only word that keeps coming. Like the way like it's built. Like you build a painting rather than paint a painting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like even from the canvas down to the frame to the when you were doing a beeswax and blending your own colors.
Yeah.
It's like I think that if I'm not mistaken, you enjoy all of that structure.
Yeah.
Where some artists would be like, dude, that is just too much. Just get me a tube of paint. Yeah. I want to get going.
I'm into the process.
Look, that's why you're as good as you are, man. Have you ever created a piece that was inspired by a specific artist? Like, say, if Picasso or Harmonious Bosch or Dali or somebody like that kind of inspired you for something? I'm
sure I have, because I really wanted to base my career on that at some point, because I've always loved, I said it earlier, paintings that are inspired by other pieces. But the only thing I could really think of is I started doing my own ideas from Cubism. So from all from this painting that we had in our house, a little magazine print that was framed in our kitchen.
And then it was
of
like,
a cubist, synthetic cubism, Picasso. Yeah.
Wow.
So I've done a lot of work with that in the back of my mind.
how did you feel when you was in the first booth at Jazz Fest? Can you remember that, like 18 years?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, did you feel like I've arrived, or you
I
felt
was
like, oh boy, do I have some big shoes to fill?
But the big thing was that it was going to rain, and it was in the infield, which floods, and so I had like my first Jazz Fest, the first time like really doing an outdoor tent, and I had this piece of furniture. I had it all planned out. I had big contractor bags to put my paintings in for when it rained, and it came bad. So anyway, I had this new camera and all this stuff in this piece of furniture. And I was like, we're batting down the hatches. We did it. And then the water started coming up from the water table. And like came up like almost to my knees. It was flooding.
Oh,
and so my sister-in-law, Mimi, and she was helping me. And we just closed up the tent and went and saw Paul Simon. He stayed out in the rain and had his piano and everything at the Accuracy.
Nice.
That was an amazing memory.
Wow.
That's what I think of when.
That's awesome.
And the rest of the time I was dry and I did well. I never sold that many paintings at one time, but I brought way more paintings than I should have. I've learned a lot since then.
Dude, that's what I was going to say. How many Jazz Fest experiences that, like, from the rain to the second weekend to just certain things that, do those things make any sense? Like, if you're going to go and say you're going to do the Jazz Fest this year and all of a sudden you hear it's going to rain.
Yeah.
Or you may not, we're going to switch to the second weekend. Do those things kind of make a difference in your art? Or do you just like, okay, I'm just flowing with the current. It doesn't really matter if it's going to rain.
What I'm going to bring out?
Because you were prepared for the rain.
Yeah,
And you had it all and everything worked out. But like, does that kind of like, in your mind when you're thinking about stuff like that, like painting it, do you do like, what if it rains?
No, a lot of people have to think about that, but I, the paintings are durable, and I kind of have a system to where the way I have them hung and everything, they pretty much stay dry.
Yeah, see, I think that's just the type of person that you are with your structure. Like, your structure is just not in painting. Your structure is in life. Like, when you go and build your booth, you like doing like all these extra things. I mean, I've seen a lot of it. That's why I know. But you take it to another level when it comes to painting. But you also take another level when it comes to your life, like the bike that you made with with your art. I mean, it's like you're just a creator in life.
Yeah.
But as far as your paintings go, I find it funny or interesting, not funny. I find it interesting that you are still pushing yourself when you have all this structure in your life. And you found some things that really work, but you don't just relax on your laurels and stay there. You're constantly like, well, let's go and do it on aluminum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And is that something that you feel like you always did in art, or you just wanted to like feeling like maybe I should just push and push and push and push?
I think I went halfway through my career using the same materials and methods, and then things started kicking off and started getting exciting, and then I was like, okay, if I want to go forward, I want to think about maybe pushing this forward, and that, like this idea, if I'm going to start getting attention, I want to start getting attention for this, so it made me kind of keep going to the next thing. So like at Jazz Fest, I always bring stuff I want to be working on for that next year, because that's what people are putting their eyes on and what they're kind of expecting. So I don't want to do stuff too far from the past that are already like pigeonholed and have nothing left to say about.
What do you say to a up and coming artist that is out there and they're confused as far as how to get their own style, or should they go with the structure, or should they just stay loose, or should they just follow the medium? Like, what would you tell yourself starting over now, knowing the things that you did? What would you say?
People ask me a lot, and I tell them the same thing I said a minute ago about, like, do what you want to, paint what you want to be, or whatever your craft is. You're putting this in front of people. Make sure it's something that you love, because a lot of people are going to see this. A lot of people contact me, and they're expecting to see more of it. So make sure you're doing something from your heart. because it's going to get a lot of eyes, and you're going to be, people are going to expect a little bit more of this,
Dude, do you have a favorite year or a favorite vendor or guest?
With
like obviously the year that it rained wasn't your favorite year. Like the year
Fest?
that maybe like the year that you may have sold them Moe's, or maybe the year that they had like a certain person you wanted to see, and like just the Jazz Fest experiences with your
Wow. I don't think anything really stands out as like extra special. It's usually my friends. I usually don't get in the mix too much.
You focus on Mr. Structure.
One of my favorite things about Jazz Fest is going to Captain Kinney's after. Captain Kinney's parties.
That's it.
Those are the memories for me.
Yeah, the memories of Captain Kinney's party from last week was I just went over there and I didn't expect to really show up, because a lot of times I have like an entourage all the time, and I hate to bring people to their house. We have a mutual friend. They have a house. Their house is right up on you can't get any closer to the Mystery Street. I guess the house is really cool. So a lot of people always are walking out and they'll just go into their house. So it's important for me not to bring people there. So I went, and we had one person with us, so we were kind of hesitant going in, and I had no idea that he was doing the paella that night. Right?
Oh yeah.
And then I was sitting there talking, and Toby, who cooked it, he was like, "Man, you need to get in line." So I'm just constantly talking to people. And you and Steve came in, and then right when you guys walked up to me, like, "Dude, we just got the last bowl." I didn't have like one grain
Toby
of
gave
rice.
up his.
I was sitting there.
Toby gave up his bowl to me.
But my point is that's the guess.
Yeah,
that's the one. That's our favorite. But
look, to reiterate a little bit, as you were talking, I thought about this. One of my so we heard it was going to rain this year, but it all happened before the gates open. And some of my favorite, I always think about it. Some of my favorite memories, it like starts pouring in the middle of the show, and then all these people have to duck into your tent. And at first they're like kind of not looking at you, and they're quiet. And then if we got to close everything up, and like everyone, we all get to meet, get to make new friends, like in a 10-foot area.
See, that's funny, because that analogy could be taken a completely opposite way. Like people are like, "Oh my God, it rained. This is over. I can't believe it." You're like, here's an opportunity. Yeah. I get to be in here close with these people.
Just like it used to be. Remember, like in high school, if it rained out in Jazz Fest, it
was a pleasure.
It's going to be just as much fun, if not more fun.
Well, you're not there this week, but I heard it's supposed to rain. Knock on wood.
It's also supposed to be really nice.
I heard it's like who knows? I hope it's right. You can't trust the weather, man. But
I hope they have
supposedly it's supposed to rain a lot this week.
Yeah,
but I hope I'm wrong.
I hope not.
I hope I'm wrong. But what's a perfect day in New Orleans for you?
What? I don't know. My favorite days used to be when I had a studio in the Bywater. Making my way to the studio, making my way back. I used to always just take my bicycle, and those were the perfect days. You just kind of take stuff in, getting one thing to another, all the peripheral things that New Orleans has to offer. And I kind of feel like that where I live. I live in kind of a peripheral area in New Orleans, got all that stuff at Maple Leaf, and I almost enjoy it more like if I'm taking a walk and it's all happening around me, it just sort of like feeds my soul.
It's like you being controlled around a bunch of chaos.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful chaos. It's not like a bad chaos. It's just, a second line going on.
But also slightly overcast.
Yeah. Right. That's the best.
I always think of it, yeah.
The sun
the sun stays off of me, I'm all right.
And then what exciting events are you looking forward to? Any events that you're looking forward to with the art or anything? You got a show next year.
I have a show scheduled next year. I'm going to try to boost it up a little bit, but that's going to be based on something I really like to do. And I don't know. I'm going to have to create something in the meantime.
What about just in general? So like you got...
I am really excited about developing my prints a little more. I have some new ideas for them. I just bought a brand new printer, and it's really a blast.
Really?
And then I kind of create my own little commercials for them. I have fun creating all this. Yeah. So I'm looking. That's going to be a project I'm working
So
on.
some marketing stuff
Yeah,
you're looking forward
yeah,
to. Yeah. So I've been seeing some creative marketing you did. Like I know that AI and all that stuff is around now. How you can make it animated.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. A friend of mine was telling me how they use AI in their work. And I was like, man, like everyone's an artist now, you know? All you need is like some verbal prompts. And anyway, I thought about it for a while and then I'm like, I really need to figure out what it has for me. I need to embrace it. I need to embrace change, you know, because everyone's going to be using AI. So anyway, I decided to play with the animation of the paintings I already had just for fun and just catch some eyes. And everyone seems to like moving pictures instead of just still. So that's been fun.
That's what you did with Napoleon. You did that with Napoleon. You had the alligators walking.
Yeah.
I think all that stuff is amazing.
It's fun. It's all so new to me.
The cooler part, honestly, is that you actually painted that thing.
Right.
It ain't like I just went and found an alligator online and said, "Hey, look at this." You know what I mean? And that's an edge that you have still, even though AI is coming in. You know?
It's almost like a related art form.
Yes,
another art form. You know,
dude. And right now, where can people find your work?
mguidry.com and Orleans Gallery. I'm at Orleans Gallery at 603 Julia Street.
603?
Yeah.
That's right, guys. We're 603 Julia Street.
And they're having
Art.
They're having their 1 year anniversary this coming up Saturday. It's going to be an absolutely killer show.
This Saturday, guys, get in there. So Mike, is there anything that you want to reiterate, or anything you want to tell anybody? Anything you got like that you want to let people know about, or anything that you are doing that's fun, or any speakings, or any places where people can get your work? You've already given your website, but just like something that you're doing on.
Yeah. I can't really think of anything. Last year I filled my year up with shows and like artist talks, and I purposefully like the next thing I know I'm going to do is going to fishing rodeo.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, check out my prints. You know, I'll be coming up with a new a show to do in the next few months somewhere somehow.
How was your jazz fest? This jazz fest?
It was good. It was good.
Awesome. I went to go and hang out with you. I loved a lot of the stuff. I mean, I think Mike's stuff is reasonably priced because the quality is just so high. Because you can get some paintings like that, but the quality isn't there. Like your paintings, to me, my opinion, I don't like to generalize. My opinion, your paintings are definitely well worked, and it seemed like the perceived value of it is just higher. And I don't know if it's because you build your frames, because it's oils, it's because you're strategic.
Because you're my friend.
Well, that's a part of that too. But I mean, there's a lot of people that I'm friends with art, but their art's good. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like they went above and beyond. Yeah. Like I feel like every one of your paintings, you went above and beyond. Yeah. Even the paintings in my house.
Yeah, like I spend a lot of time making sure that
it shows.
I'm not just cranking stuff out.
It shows. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Every piece is special.
It's not like a little bit of paint. It's like a lot of paint. It's a lot of structure.
I told my father-in-law, I was like, I was finishing the show, like I was finishing every little piece, like my life depended on it. He's like, why? Like, why is that? You know, just curious. I was like, good question. I don't know. It's like this is me. Like this represents me.
That's it.
You know.
That's why, because you're giving a person a representation of you, not just some piece of art that you did. It's like, hey, here's some piece of paper and something. I just created that. No, you're like giving a piece of you.
You know, I also feel like my brain is kind of chaotic, and I like to create order, and I like to have on canvas. I like to have things where they are. You know what I mean? I like everything to be stable and placed, and yeah.
That's awesome, man. We are over time that we expected, but I would not stop. But just remember, guys, share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Go check out Michael Guidry. His art is everywhere. It's amazing. And remember, the world is full of good people. If you don't see one, be one. And also, you cannot forget this one thing. It's never a bad time to share good vibes.
Yes,
and
Lord.
the big 6 things I'm going to talk about before we go, and then I'll let everybody bounce. We always like to say there's 6 things, these big 6 things that you can do to have a great life. One is, the first 3 is have empathy, humility, and compassion for ourselves. Highly motivated people like ourselves, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. We don't always have humility, empathy, and compassion for ourselves because we're sort of focused on where we're headed and where we have to go, not the steps it took to get there. So you have to pat yourself on the back, drink a little Gatorade, pour Gatorade and stuff. Celebrate yourself on those little bitty steps. Then once you get that humility, and empathy, and compassion for yourself, then you can give it to others. And you can't give it to others if you don't have it for yourself first.
Yes.
That's the first 3. The last 3 is always help people. Because helping people is an inside job. And then the 5th one is always be better than you were the day before, right? If you do that every time and be in competition with yourself only, try and beat the person that you were yesterday and doing positive and good things, that's a great thing. And then the last one is always leave the world better than you found it. Now, you can do that a lot of ways. You can do it through food, water, air. But what I'm talking about is you and I woke up today. We need to go and meet someone that we never met, that we never knew, at the post office, in line, at the gas line, at the supermarket, whatever, and have a good encounter with them and have a nice conversation, and you both go away and do that 3 or 4-fold. Isn't that leaving the world better than you found it?
Yeah.
Like there's a complete stranger meeting a complete stranger every day and having a great encounter.
Yes.
Those are the things that we need to do. And remember, guys, tune in, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Who dat?
Who that?
Walking, stepping down the street, y'all.